is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
All right, guys, welcome in, and can't believe it. It is that time of year again, time for another edition of the college basketball tip-off show here. 2021-22, the season is upon us, and we could not be more excited here at WagerTalk.com, especially as we get to kick off this season with two very familiar faces to you guys that caught us last year. And if you are new to us here this year, get ready for the pen. There he is. Dave has a pen. He usually waits a little bit later in the week to bust it out. But Ralph Michaels, Dave Cokin joining us here to start off the 2021-22 season. You did see also it was $2 Tuesday, and I do believe the $2 handicapper is right here with us, Ralph Michaels. So, Ralph, exciting time of year, college basketball, and you got your $2 play up at Wager Talk as well.
It is, guys, and for those watching this live, give me about an hour after the show to finish up the guide. A simple guide, goes through all of last year's stats, last year's KenPom rankings, this year's rankings, returning starters, blue ribbon ranks, the new head coaches, where they coached, color-coded in red for the new coaches. So check that out. It's absolutely free. It'll be on my homepage at Wager Talk. And like I said, it'll be about another hour when I finish PDFing the pages and have it up on my homepage after the show.
All right, good stuff there, guys. WagerTalk.com. Visit Ralph's page there. And, of course, Dave, locked and loaded, ready for the college basketball season. In addition, we still got NHL. You've been crushing it here, Dave, as college football, obviously, NFL. And now we can add college basketball to the repertoire as well.
Yeah, a couple of notes. The college basketball volume this year at Wager Talk for me is going to be much lower. I'm only going to sell the best bets. Anything less than that, I'm just going to give it out. It'll be in Wager Talk News, or I'll post it on Twitter, or it'll be on my homepage. So you're going to get a lot of 3% plays free, and I'm going to save the good stuff. That'll be what I sell. And should point out today, I did post a best bet on Rice, minus 4.5, which I've now taken down as far as selling it. I mean, I love that I've got the play because I think it's a good selection. That line's 8. That line's moved all the way to 8. So clearly not going to recommend it at minus 8. Also, the other play was a 3% play, which was a free selection on Missouri, Kansas City. The Kangaroos plus, I think it was 9. Widely available when I gave it out against Minnesota, which is going to stink this year. And that line's now 6.5. I'm even seeing some 6. So one thing you want to be careful about, and this is just a blanket rule, don't give yourself the worst of it. If you miss the opening, if you miss the widely available good numbers, don't just follow the crowd and take a bad number, because if you do that, you're going to lose money, okay? It's just as simple as that. It's not. These people say, follow the sharp money. It's only worth following if you get the same numbers as the sharp betting syndicates got, or the sharp bettors, whichever. If you don't get their numbers, then it's not a sharp play anymore. I don't understand why this advice gets recommended on a frequent basis. It's stupid, okay? Anyway, that's it. I'm ready to talk some college hoops. We got 4 games to talk about today.
Let's do it here, guys. Let's dive into it. Again, if you're new to the show or if you watched last year, we'll as the week progresses here and the shows continue, we'll have all sorts of new wrinkles and new segments here that we're going to be doing it for you. But we want to dive in. Go ahead, Dave.
Don't mention wrinkles around me, okay?
I knew it.
Jesus Christ, I'm older. Don't never say wrinkles to an old person.
We got all sorts of Botox shots we're going to throw in here for you guys. We're in it here, and we're going to start off with, I mean, what better way to start off than with 2 powerhouses, the Blue Bloods. Kansas taking on Michigan State. Madison Square Garden will be the backdrop and that's always an absolute fantastic way to start off the college basketball season here, Ralph. Kansas, 4.5 is an opening favorite, 143.5. Michigan State, Ralph, going to be a little bit of a new look here. They lost a couple of guys, didn't they? Langford, I believe, Watts, Henry. Kansas got a couple of new faces as well. What do you think of this game?
Well, I want to bring this up because when people see the guide and look at returning starters, I mean, returning starters used to be an important handicapping tool in college basketball. If you're a Power 5 program, returning starters is almost a afterthought because you can't even look at a team anymore with the number of returning starters and think this team is not going to be good. When Kansas can pick up Remy Martin, one of the top point guards from Arizona State, he steps in. Michigan State gets a Northeastern transfer that was sought after to play point guard. It's a different dynamic. But, Dave and I were talking about this game before we came on, and I just think Kansas has too much talent. Michigan State's strength is their defense from their guards, and when you lose two of the best players you had, it takes a while to learn how to play that team defense. I think this line's a little too low. I think Michigan State comes in overrated on reputation alone. They have to prove to me that they can do it. Kansas is without Wilson the first 3 games, Jalen Wilson, but they have enough depth with, Yesfusi from Drake, who's back in, a big front court, better guards. To me, it's only one way to go in this game. It didn't make my card because there were some issues with Martin and his practicing and what comes of that, but a clear lean for me on Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, Lynn, those additions are pretty good, Dave, there for Kansas. I mean, is it reputation only with Michigan State now?
I don't know. Michigan State never seemed to really find the chemistry last year. I mean, that's not something that you would normally say about any Tom Izzo coach team. You expect them to kind of struggle early and then put it together around February and roll from there. But it never really came together for them last year. There were some inconsistencies with that team. And there were games where they just couldn't shoot the basketball and where they didn't play particularly good defense. So maybe the fact that some of those guys aren't back for Michigan State might actually be a plus for them. We'll have to wait and see. But I still think they've got a lot of new pieces to implement. The point guard from Northeastern, good player, but it's a big step up, and we'll see how he handles the pressure. I mean, there's a difference in playing in the Colonial Athletic Association and playing for Michigan State. Kansas does have, I think, the better bodies at this point. McCormick is a really good player. I like Braun. I think Kansas is ahead of Michigan State at this point, so I would agree with Ralph. Just a quick go back to Ralph on this, though. Talk about the Remy Martin issue because, that was, I guess you read about it today. I had not seen this information on Remy Martin. That's always a little bit of a red flag to me, Ralph.
Yeah, Dave, I should have brought that up. And the situation in the Kansas paper this morning is that Remy Martin did not start their scrimmage game because there was some work ethic issues with his practice. And, if you're a point guard coming from Arizona State on one of the best teams in the country, you would think your work ethic as the leader of the team is going to blow everyone away. So that actually was enough to keep me off of making it the final step. So we'll see how they handle it tonight. It did not say whether he's going to start this evening or if he's disciplined again. But to me, I think if he's going to be your leader and your point guard, you let them start today and go from there. So we'll see how they handle it, and they'll see what, the nice thing about watching these games is those reporters had access to the coaches, access to the players. We'll see if they follow up or if it really was a non-issue.
Yeah, that's we spoke a lot about him last year, too, in an absolutely disappointing season, and you hate to see that already before we even played a game. Red flags like that is rough because the kid's got all the talent in the world. And that's the first game, guys, obviously at Madison Square Garden, kicking off the Champions Classic. There's another one, too. 2 more Blue Bloods. You might have heard of them. Kentucky taking on Duke here. 1.5, Dave, for Duke as a favorite. Calipari Company, 147.5 here. I believe this marks Coach K's 1,400th game as Duke's head coach here tonight. Unbelievable. What do you think of the Blue Devils this year?
Well, that line's long gone. Kentucky's now the favorite in the game. And I think with good reason. If you match these two teams up, I think Duke does have an advantage up front. But Kentucky's got a clear edge in the backcourt, in my opinion. And I tend to value backcourt play more early in the season because those are the guys that run the offense. And to me, you're more likely to get good flow and fluidity out of a backcourt that has the advantage. So I like that. I also like the fact that Calipari has said he's only going to go with an 8-man rotation. So, which is unusual early in the season. You know, you usually see coaches playing 11 or 12 guys. They want to mix and match, see where who gels early. But he's going right to an 8-man rotation, which tells me he's kind of treating this as an important early season game. Perhaps it's one of those situations where Calipari has had some teams get off to slow starts and maybe doesn't want that to happen this year. So I lean Kentucky in the game. It's not a strong play by any means. It's not even a play, actually. It's just a lean. But I think the Wildcats have a little bit of an advantage here. I like the fact they're playing a shorter rotation in the very first game. And, again, I think they have an edge in the backcourt over Duke. Over and under on how many times Coach K's retirement tour is going to be mentioned in tonight's game, 18.
It's a hell of a drinking game, by the way. You'll be loaded by 5 minutes in. It'll be unreal. All right, Ralph, how's this for a trend? You are definitely the trends and angle guy. How about the Duke Blue Devils 39-2 in season openers under Coach K here at the Garden tonight? 3 starters returning. Pretty big hyped freshman, too, I believe, with Banchero. So what do you think we're going to see from the Blue Devils?
Well, it's a nice record, but, you know, when you're playing Sisters of the Poor for the most part, you know, a lot of coaches have that record, the opener. I'm going to agree with Dave in this game. You know, the Kentucky's another team where you say, oh, my God, one returning starter. Are they in trouble? Well, let's see. No. You got Grady at shooting forward, 2,000 points at Davidson. I'm going to screw up my first name of the thousands I say on the show. Oscar from West Virginia, a double guy. He's now their starting center. And, oh, yeah, your point guard, Wheeler, he led the SEC at Georgia in assists per game. I mean, you have experience filling in. So I agree with Dave. Duke's going to be great. Here's a stat for you. Brooks is, you know, a power forward who's been here 3 years. Since Calipari's been here, 2009, this is only the 8th recruit, scholarship recruit, to play at least 3 seasons. That talks about how many one-and-dones he's had that play 1 year and 2 years. So, I mean, he doesn't even know what the hell to do with Brooks, who's been a starter for 2 years and now starting his 3rd year. So, God, I mean, add that to a Kentucky roster with those transfers. I agree Kentucky should be the favorite, and I definitely lean with Kentucky again. I mean, the last 2 years we had these opening games. I had no opinion on either team, and I have very significant opinions on both Kansas and Kentucky.
All right, well, stay there, Ralph, because we're going to move on to another game here. We're going to take a look at Nevada. And Eastern Washington here opens up as Nevada almost a 3-touchdown favorite here. And this is basketball. 154.5 as a total as well, Ralph. So what do you think of Nevada here opening up? Big number, though, isn't it, game one?
Well, you know, Joe and Dave, I cheated. And this is one of the games that I gave out to my clients. It'll be my best bet on the show. So I am on the Wolfpack. I mean, the Wolfpack are a team with 5 returning starters, the conference player of the year, preseason conference player of the year in Cambridge, a Robert Morris and a Texas transfer that would start on almost every other team in the Mountain West to add depth, a team that got off to a slow start in their scrimmage, but had a 21-0 run, and Musselman's talking about the defense they're going to play. And this Eastern Washington team is depleted. They're a team that made the tournament last year, that had back-to-back great seasons. They have a new head coach. He was an assistant here for 10 years, but the entire new coaching staff is back. They have 0 or 1 returning starters. They have 8 true freshmen among their 12 newcomers. This line isn't too big for me. As I said, it's my best bet here on the show. Is it an actual client release? And this Wolfpack, they started slow last year. They did not jump to big wins their first couple games. I think it's different, and they're excited about having fans in there. Remember this too. Last year teams were laying these 20 points without fans in the stands, so that's a much different feeling. When you have a team like Nevada that can have the offensive prowess they do and want to play elite defense, those are the type of teams that benefit from the crowd.
It wasn't bad. I mean, 12-3 in the Big Sky last year, Dave, for Eastern Washington. However, they're ranked somewhere around 195, 196 in some power rankings. Nevada around 50. So it is sort of a mismatch here on paper. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Eastern Washington last year and Eastern Washington this year are two different teams. That was a real nice EW team last year, and those guys are mostly gone. I don't think the coaching change is that big a deal because it's an assistant who's been there throughout all the growth of this program. So that should be fairly seamless. I think the number's gotten a little too high. I mean, Nevada's going to win the game. To me, there's no question about that. But this does look like one of those, and this happens early in the season sometimes. It looks like one of those games where Nevada can kind of get out and name the score early, and then you might see Alfred start to play some of the guys down at the end of the bench to get them some early minutes and see what they can do. And that worries me on games where the line gets into the 20s. So I can't really recommend Nevada at this price. But I don't think Eastern Washington's got much of a chance in the basketball game. So, and Ralph brings up a really good point. This is something to factor in. Normal home court advantages might be a little bit bigger early in the season than we're used to seeing because for a lot of these teams, a lot of these schools, their fans didn't get to go to any games last year. They were played in empty buildings. And we've already seen, particularly in the NHL early on, the very first week in the NHL, where you had fans back, full houses where there'd been limited fans or no fans last year. I mean, the home teams were just, holy shit. I mean, they were just fired up. And we saw it in college football early in the season. So that the home advantages will settle into what they normally are pretty quickly. But at the outset, it might be even bigger than it normally is. So I don't have a play in the game. If I had to bet it at this number, be honest with you, I'd probably lean to the dog at this number, but not a game I'm considering.
Right, Joe, let me jump in for 1 second. Dave brings up a great point, and I thought about playing at first half, Dave, laying the 11.5 first half, but they talked me out of it reading the Reno paper today because, I think his name's Brahms, the guy from Robert Morris, and Will something from Texas. Those guys both had double digits in the scrimmage. And he talked about how they are so deep now and that offense in the second half, playing defense with the depth he has to play defense. They have guards 6'6", 6'6", 6'8". Their front line, they can go 6'10", 7 foot, 7 foot. So I did think about first half, great point, Dave, but the way they're talking about the team, the structure they have, and with what they did with the scrimmage late in the game, it led me to play the full game.
Okay.
All right, good stuff there. Yeah, 32-year-old new coach, 5 freshmen, 5 transfers on that EW team. Should be an interesting start to the season, taking on Nevada here tonight. We got one more game we're going to take a look at here, guys, and boy, oh boy, 2 teams that could certainly, it's going to be interesting finding wins this year. FIU taking on Georgia. Georgia opens up as an 11-point favorite, 154.5 here, Dave. And I believe the Panthers, they ended on a 14-game losing streak. They were losing just about every game by double digits, too.
Well, yeah. FIU is one of the teams, and there are a bunch of teams that I did this with this year. I just threw out last season because they had COVID issues all year long.
Yeah.
And I don't, it was just such a mess there that, to me, looking at anything that Florida International did last year is a waste of time. I actually went back to 2 years ago. Ballard had improved this program. And going into last season, there was some legitimate high hopes and optimism for FIU. And then the issues with COVID started. Some schools got hit worse than others, and FIU was hit pretty hard by that thing last year. So I think that, to me, they're more likely to look like a team that was similar to the one that ended 2 years ago, which was not a bad basketball team. And if that's the case, they can compete with Georgia. It's not like Georgia's anything special. I think Florida International plus the points is the right side in this game. And I would not be absolutely shocked if FIU takes them to the wire and maybe even pulls the upset. I think FIU is going to be better than people think.
Yeah, 8-3, Dave. You're absolutely correct. It started out really well last year, and then COVID hit. It went hard left in a hurry there for FIU. Georgia is not going to have a whole lot of success either, Ralph, at least a lot of the preseason rankings. They got Georgia dead last here in the SEC, one of the worst teams. I think they only have one of their top 8 scorers back with Tom Crean at the helm here. So what do you make of Georgia as well?
Well, yeah, I'm going to agree with Dave again. And you look at FIU, and let's not be fooled. Every coach you read or every coach's quotes, we're going to improve, we're going to play better defense, we're going to be great. But Ballard's a guy who talked about having great defenses. This was the 20-win team, 19-win team, and then 9 wins last year. And they played good defenses. They have 7 guys that have wingspan of 6'10", and he thinks his team can play defense again. You also got a point guard, Brewer, who started all 28 games last year. That's huge. This Georgia team is a train wreck. Some teams have very few returning starters because kids graduated. This Georgia team, which had 11 wins, 16 wins, and 14 wins with an NBA player, had 9 players transfer, including their top 6 scorers. When you have nobody that wants to play for your program and you have to bring new guys in, and you are playing number 4 in tempo, I say I like this game under. There's no way he's going to be able to play the tempo he would with all these new guys. You're going to have a hectic offense, not learning how to play together. Completely agree with the FIU side. I didn't get there. But again, a game that Dave and I talked about how many games we liked and sort of have to limit an opening day because there's always some uncertainty. But FIU wins this game outright would not surprise me tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you're right. 2 years ago, Dave, they were a top 10 defensive team against three-point shooting, and I don't see they're going to get much closer to that this year, especially with those guys they got there, the 7-footers and what. So this is going to be an interesting game here tonight, guys. That's going to be FIU taking on Georgia. We'll see how long Tom Crean lasts in this one.
Well, and one quick note. Again, this falls into the category of you missed the party. It's down to 7.
7.
Mine's down to 7. I mean, FIU would have been my best bet here on the show and would have been on my card. It basically was on my card, and then I took it off when the line started tanking for the reasons I explained earlier. So I won't use it as the best bet here on the show. And to me, it's just, too late, guys. Sorry.
Anthony Edwards can't come back, Ralph. He doesn't have any more eligibility. Ralph, I'm kidding. Tom Crean wanted to know that. So talk to us here, Ralph. You are the $2 handicapper today at WagerTalk.com, which means if you head over to Ralph's page right now, not only in no time at all will you be able to get that great college basketball guide, but the $2 play of the day for Ralph available at WagerTalk.com. So start us off here, Ralph. What game did you look at and circle for us here on the card?
As I said, I am going with the Wolfpack. I'm going to lay the 3 touchdowns. I think 19 was on the screen. There's 20s, 21s even. I'm still okay with that number. Obviously, getting a line move of a dog from 7 to 10.5 is one thing. Laying a point when it's 20 to 21, you're talking only a 5% line move, and I'm okay with that. So best bet, and again, it is an actual client release that I bet and gave out to my all-access customers. $2 handicap guide will be about an hour up on my page at WagerTalk.com.
All right, make sure you get over there, guys. And Dave, how about it? What game tickled your fancy here tonight?
Well, FIU did, but not as much as +7. So I will move off that and go to Kansas. I just think they're quite a bit ahead of Michigan State at this point. So I'll go with Kansas as the best bet here on the show. Note,
right.
by the way, I've got a 5% play up in college football this weekend. They really haven't done that well this year. I'm 2-3 on my 5% plays, but had just an incredible run for 2+ years. And I think this one will get back in the win column. Got an NHL game up tonight. I do have 2 college basketball plays, but neither one is available now because the lines moved. I think that's it.
All right,
Let's get
guys.
the games going.
Yeah, and don't forget, guys, also college football. That is coming your way here. We'll have that show ready to go. You can join Dave on there also as we break down 4 games coming up for the week. But the best thing to do is head over to WagerTalk.com. Get his 5% best bet right now in college football. You got Ralph's $2 Tuesday play. That's available right now at Wager Talk as well. And Ralph's either telling us to halt, stop. What's going on, Ralph?
Raineri, do you forget about this college basketball show? I mean, our guys are used to hearing a best bet from you as well. Are you sliding out opening night of college hoops?
Yes, I had got to. There is. You went with the laying the three touchdowns. I'm taking the 3 touchdowns with Siena over taking on the St. Bonaventure here. Defensive matchup here. And the Bonnies, I think they won maybe one game by more than 20 points last year. So I think a lot of defense. Go ahead.
I think Bonnie's also a little short-handed tonight. A couple of guys are not playing.
Exactly. So, I'll take the
about
19.
These kids are talking about being ranked for the first time, and oh my God, all the expectations. There's a lot to be said when those teams, all off season, they are now the shit. So couldn't agree more.
Yeah, a little more of a defensive game there tonight, guys. All right, there you got it. Make sure you hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner, and make sure you come back and join us again tomorrow as the college basketball tip-off show. It is off and running. The season has begun. Join us, NBA, college football, still to come here today at Wager Talk TV on YouTube. But in the meantime, guys, best of luck with your plays tonight. We'll catch you again tomorrow. Good luck.
Lock in all sports.
Thank you, guys. Good show.
All plays, all 5% best bets for the next 30 days from your favorite Wager Talk handicapper for only $1.99 versus the regular price of $3.49 for a total savings of $1.